Hello students, welcome to ShirtBack Academy. In our lesson today we're going to continue in Module 2, Loops. Our lesson today we're going to be doing loops with Laurel. We're going to begin from the code.org homepage. From there we're going to click on Learn in the top left corner. On the next page we're going to go down and click on Grades K to 5 in the gray Learn More box. From there, we're going to go down and click on Course B. And our lesson today is Loops with Laurel. It is lesson number 8. Once you've found the lesson, go ahead and click on number 1, and we're going to watch our intro video.
You're about to get the chance to play with a new type of puzzle called the collector. These puzzles are a lot like ones you've already seen, except for a few important changes. In each puzzle, the collector will look for items to grab. When she gets to them, she won't be able to simply run over the items to pick them up. Instead, you will need to use the collect block to grab each pile. Be careful. The number of items that need to be collected to pass a level will change. Sometimes you only need to collect one pile. In other puzzles, you need to collect everything. Make sure you pay attention to the instructions to find out what the rules are before you start.
We're going to click on Continue and move on to Puzzle 2. Remember, in our lessons we have a new block, the Get Treasure block. It's the one with the purple gem. Here in our first level we have a free play. We can move Laurel around and get as much treasure as we want. We can see we have our arrows. What I'm going to do is we're going to get 3 gems. I'm going to bring over a right arrow block, a treasure block, and I'm going to continue that pattern 3 times. Each time that Laurel moves to a block, she's going to pick up 1 treasure. Let's click Run and see what our code does. We can see she goes forward, treasure, and does it 3 times. Good job. You can see what happens when we use the treasure blocks. If you'd like to try to get some more of the treasure in that puzzle, click Replay. We're going to continue the lesson and move on to Puzzle 3. Here in Puzzle 3, it's telling us to move Laurel to the treasure and use the Get Treasure block to pick each one up. There are 4 in the play space. Let's trace our path. We can see we have to go 4 blocks. And we're going to go right. We're going to bring over a right arrow block and then connect a Get Treasure. We're going to continue that pattern 4 times. Each combination will pick up 1 treasure. You can see our code is quickly getting long. Let's double check our code and make sure they're all connected. Let's click Run. Good job. Now we're going to click Continue and we're going to watch a short video about repeat loops. We're going to use loops in the rest of this lesson.
This is a repeat block. It will let you loop the code inside as many times as you tell it to. To a computer, code that you write like this looks just like code that you write like this. Now you know how to use a repeat block here and in other puzzles too.
Let's click Continue. We're going to move on to Puzzle 5. In each lesson going forward, we're going to be using repeat loops. Here in Puzzle 5, our instructions are asking us, how can we get Laurel to all 5 treasure using only 1 right arrow block? We're going to use a repeat. We're going to trace our path, and we see that on each block there's 1 treasure. We're going to begin our program by bringing over a repeat loop. It is numbered at 5. Inside, we're going to put a right arrow and a get treasure. Our loop will have Laurel do that pattern 5 times. Let's click run and see how we do. Great job! You can see how the repeat loop saved us a lot of time and space. Let's click continue and move on to puzzle 6. Here on puzzle 6, we need to fix Laurel's path to get the treasure. We're going to debug this program. Let's take a look at the code when we hit run. We can see that the code in the workspace had Laurel go one too many times past the treasure path. We're going to change the repeat from 5 to 4. Now we're going to click run. We fixed the first bug, but we see that we are not quite finished with our program. We're going to add a right arrow and a get treasure block at the very end. Now let's double check our code. We're going to hit reset and run. Now our repeat loop runs 4 times and we get to the treasure. Well done! Let's click on continue and move on to puzzle 7. Here in puzzle 7, it's asking us to add some code to get all the treasure. At the play space and trace our path, we can see that Laurel goes right 4 times, goes down 3 times, and then goes to the right. Let's take a look at the code in the workspace. Can you see where we should change it? We're going to add a repeat loop. In the second part of the path, when Laurel goes down, she needs to go down 3 times. We're going to connect a new repeat loop and put the code inside. At the end, we're going to connect the right arrow and the treasure. We only need to do that 1 time, so it does not require a repeat. When we click run, we see both of our repeat loops work. Great job, everybody. You did really well with that. We had 2 repeat loops in the same puzzle. Let's click continue and move on to puzzle 8. Here in puzzle 8, the instructions are telling us to figure out the code to help Laurel get all the treasure. Let's trace the path and see how she needs to go. We see she goes right. To start our code, we're going to bring over a repeat and set it equal to 4. Inside, we're going to set a right arrow and a get treasure. We're going to hit run. We see we got the first row. Let's check the second row and the third. In our next part of the path, we're going to bring over another repeat, and this time we're going to connect a down arrow and a get treasure. For the last part of the path, we're going to bring over a third repeat, and this time we're going to set it equal to 5. In this repeat, we're going to bring a left arrow and a get treasure. Now we have 3 repeats, 1 for each row in the path. If our code works, all 3 repeats should work. We see our first loop, second loop, and third. Great job, we got all 12 treasure. Let's click continue and move on to puzzle 9. Here in puzzle 9, we need to write the code to get all of the treasure. Let's take a look at the play space and see what the path Laurel needs to go. We see we go right, and to start our code, we're going to bring over our first repeat. I counted 4 blocks. We're going to bring over a right arrow and a get treasure. In our second row, I counted 3. This time we're going to bring over an up arrow and a get treasure. We're going to click run and see how we're doing. Our first loop works. And so does our second. Let's finish the code. For the third row, we're going to bring over another repeat, and this time connect a left arrow and get treasure. For the final part, we're going to bring over one last down arrow for the last treasure. Now let's double check our code. We see we have 3 repeats. We're going to click reset and run. Our first loop works well. So does our second. And our third. Great job. We're making Laurel a rich girl. Let's click on continue and move on to puzzle 10. Alright, our challenge puzzle. Our challenge puzzles are designed to stretch our brains. Let's see how we do. Here in our challenge puzzle, let's trace Laurel's path. We see she must go down, and to begin our code, we're going to bring over our first repeat. We're going to set it equal to 3. Inside, we're going to put a down arrow and a get treasure. That will take care of the first row of treasure. So far, so good. For the second part of the path, we're going to bring over another repeat. This time we're going to set our repeat to 2. Inside, we're going to connect a right arrow and a get treasure. Now let's click reset and run. So far, so good. We're going to learn a new coding skill called nested loops. We could continue with our code and repeat what we did so far. Instead, what we're going to do is we're going to put all of our existing code inside of a second repeat loop. Let me show you what I mean. We're going to go over to our workspace and take all of our code and we're going to drag it over to the side. Now we're going to bring over another repeat loop and drag all of our code back and put it inside. When you have one loop inside of another, it's called a nested loop. We will use those a lot in the second coding course. Now what we're going to do is the outside repeat loop, we're going to set it equal to 2 because we want to run the inside code twice. We're going to click reset and run. You can see that our loops are running and they continue a second time. That's what a nested loop does. Great job, everybody. Way to learn a new skill. Nested loops are an important part of coding, and I believe you're going to do really well with them. Let's click continue and move on to puzzle 11. Here in puzzle 11, we have to let Laurel get to all the treasure. Let's trace the path. She goes left, down, and then left again. Let's use a loop to help her start the code. We're going to bring over 3 repeat loops. This is something you can do when you know you need to use multiple repeat loops in a row. In our first repeat loop, for the first row of treasure, we're going to go left and get the treasure. And we're going to set that equal to 3 times. For the second row, Laurel is going to go down and pick up a treasure at each block. We counted 5 blocks in the down row. For the third repeat loop, we're going to bring over a right arrow and a get treasure. In the last row, we only need to go 2 times. Let's double check our code. Make sure they're all connected. Looks good. Now when we hit run, we're going to see how all the repeat loops work together. Fantastic job. 2 more puzzles. Let's click continue. Finish strong. Here in puzzle 12, our instructions are asking us to let Laurel get all the treasure. Over in the play space, let's trace the path she needs to go. We see she's going to go right, down, and left. Let's use some repeat loops to build the code. In the first row, we're going to bring over a repeat. We're going to bring over a second repeat for the down row, and a third one for the bottom. Let's do the first repeat. We're going to bring over a right arrow and a get treasure. In the first row, we counted 3 blocks. In the second repeat, in our down row, we counted 4. Inside, we're going to connect a down arrow and a get treasure. We're going to pick up 1 treasure at each block. For the bottom row, we're going to set the repeat to 4. There are 4 treasure in the bottom row that we need to get. Let's double check our code. We have 3 repeat loops in our program. Make sure all of your blocks are connected. Our first loop works. Our second. And our third. Really great job, everybody. Final puzzle. Here in puzzle 13, we have a big play space of treasure. We're going to see how much we can get. Let's go over to the play space and trace a couple paths that Laurel can go. In the first row of treasure, I counted 6. I'm going to bring over a repeat, set it equal to 6, and I'm going to bring over a right arrow and get treasure. Then I'm going to bring over 1 down arrow to get to the next row. I'm going to click run. We can see we got 1 row of treasure and we're able to move down to the next row. When I count the next row, I count 5. This time I'm going to bring over another repeat loop, and I'm going to set it equal to 5. Inside, this time I'm going to bring over a right arrow and a get treasure. I'm going to hit reset and run. You can see that we were able to get the second row. If you'd like to try to continue and get the rest, click replay and finish the puzzle. Great work, everybody. That will conclude this lesson. We have finished loops with Laurel. In our next lesson, we'll continue with Module 2 in loops. If you have any questions about one of the puzzles in this video, please find the appropriate time spot and review that section. We'll see everyone in the next video as we continue in Module 2. Enjoy the rest of your day, everybody.